Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today is Ken Mitchell. Ken is the Democrat running for District 6 for the U.S. Congress. Ken, again, you've been here before, and I said, well, after you get your feet wet a little bit in the district, come on back and we'll see how you're doing.
Absolutely, that's correct.
So how's it been? I mean, you've been beating the road. Our district is long.
Yeah, our district is absolutely huge, bigger than the state of Delaware.
Right.
So, I've been putting in the hard work, getting up and down all the way from Winchester down to Roanoke and over in the highlands in between Millboro and Monterey. So
Right.
I've been putting the miles on, meeting a lot of people.
Yeah, and our district is pretty much rural. We have a few little cities that probably support you quite well, like Charlottesville.
Right.
But that's kind of like in the middle, but then you're going both ways. So you're going up and down, a lot of farmland,
Right.
a lot of individuals that just work with their hands. So are you meeting these people? What kind of things are you learning?
Absolutely. The one thing I will say, Mike, is when I first started this and we first met, I thought I had all the issues and understood all of them. But as I've gotten out and traveled the district and really listened to the voters out there and the folks, hardworking men and women, farmers out there, I've really started to better understand what their issues are.
Right.
So, I think any good candidate out here is going to listen 3 and 4 times more than they speak. So that's what I've been doing, listening to the hardworking men and women and the small farmers and the small business owners.
We regardless of the parties, the candidates typically for a federal office like what you're going for get hung up on national issues.
Right.
And I think they all lose the focus on they're to represent
That's
their
correct.
constituents in their little area. That's
Right.
why we have Congress. We'll let the senators handle the big deals.
That's right.
But and I think they lose focus on that. Are you finding that the case? Because when you first started, you had a lot of national issues.
Right.
Because that's kind of the platform.
Right.
But so now, are you focusing on more local?
Absolutely, and you hit the nail on the head, Mike. My responsibility going to Congress is the 750,000 members of the 6th Congressional District. As we look out at Virginia and its main industry is agriculture. You look at the 6th Congressional District, and it produces 1/3 of the $82 billion agricultural input in the state. So you have to focus on agriculture in this area. And then as you look out in the district, 4 of the top 5 counties in Virginia, agricultural counties, reside in this district: Page County, Shenandoah, Rockingham, and Augusta County. And out of Rockingham County is the number 2 agricultural county on the entire eastern seaboard.
Wow.
So you have to be engaged and involved in the local agricultural and rural areas, elements of this area, not just farming and agriculture, but also the rural areas.
What are some of the issues that you've been running across that these agricultural people really want you to address?
Well, what is common throughout the district and the highlands, the valley and the highlands, is that, our education, our rural health care, our rural infrastructure, we've been left behind in those regards. And when you start to look, and I was chatting with a lady up in Bath County yesterday, her daughters got A's in school, in the school that they got, and got accepted into UVA, but had to get remedial training in math. So every indication she had was that they're doing extremely well. But when you really got out there and started competing with students that are coming from urban areas and
Right.
stuff, she realized that the education that they were getting was not equal to what some of the folks are getting throughout the state.
Well, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right.
And I think that's what happens is the rural areas. That's all over our whole country, not just the 6th district.
You are absolutely correct, Mike. Absolutely. And as a young man, I recall seeing on the news that our inner cities had been left behind, and we had seen decay in the inner cities and people moving out and stuff. But I look today at a city like Detroit, and its downtown is thriving because we made the investment into that city. Well, I stand here today much older, much wiser, and I realize, we have not made that investment into the rural portion parts of this nation, the 6th Congressional District being one of those. And, things like broadband, which was electricity 100 years ago.
Sure.
And, how do our students remain competitive if they can't access and study via the internet and stuff, and they're left having to stay longer at school to do that? How do families start small businesses if they don't have access via the internet into the global marketplace? How do farmers engage precision farming, which give them efficiency increases on the front end, and in case on the back end they have climate change that affects their output? So they've got to be efficient. So simple infrastructure like broadband, then we could get into education and healthcare and how that's impacting as well.
Yeah, because it's surprised. I just posted a story a week or so ago about how farmers are using the satellite and internet technology to guide they don't even need us hit a button and sit back and let the thing drive around and they measures the soil, put the fertilizer in just spots instead of, it's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. I was down in Augusta County on a dairy farm, and there was a young man that was employing precision farming, and I said, hey, can I get up there with you and learn a little bit more about this stuff? And he indicated to me that they have a 30% increase in efficiency, not just in time, but how the seed is being laid out, how the fertilizer is being distributed, and that 30% makes that farm that much more profitable.
Right, it drops to the bottom line, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you look out here and just infrastructure. It's not all about widening I-81.
Exactly.
This is about infrastructure getting down there that help the rural reaches. Right. Telemedicine. You don't have to drive across the mountain to go down there to get a checkup. You can get that via telemedicine. Sure. So it's imperative that we look out here and make sure that we get infrastructure improvements throughout the district.
Well, one other thing that's happening, and we're seeing it even in Warren County, is the farms are disappearing.
Right.
They're building houses on farmland.
Right.
And of course, then the children don't want anything to do with farming. It's always happened. They leave the farm and go to the city.
Right.
It's where the jobs are. So we don't have a lot of only certain kind of jobs are rural, but as you see it, we're starting to get more and more.
Right.
People are realizing that we want to put the jobs where the people live.
Right. And one of the biggest concerns that I hear consistently from folks living rural, not just farmers, but people living in the rural areas, is that they are tired of seeing their children get educated and have to leave the area to get good paying jobs and stuff. So we've got to figure the way to make sure that when we educate the folks that there are job opportunities and economic opportunities that keep them here and keep the family unit together. It's breaking up of the family units that I think cause a lot of the hardship that we have here.
Well, there's been a lot in the news lately about college degrees that are kind of worthless. There's no jobs you spend $100,000 to get a $10,000 a year job.
Exactly, and as we look out here, through our community colleges and stuff, and education, I think it's imperative that we have a higher education because, the higher you get, the more critical thinking you get, the more responsible a citizen you groom there. And Thomas Jefferson, you have to have a good education to have a good citizen. So I firmly believe in that. But I do think that as we look out here, we need to make sure that it's not all about college debt and going to college. You don't have to go to college when you're 18. I didn't go to college until I was 30. I got out and worked with my hands and then went to night school.
Then you realize how important it was.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like what they say is until you turn about 30, that's when you realize your parents weren't so dumb.
Absolutely. So, I'm a direct product of that thought process, if you will. Yeah.
So what's going forward? What's the plans for the next 80-some days?
Well, anybody that's been out here has kind of sensed the winds of change that have occurred and, at least in the Democratic Party. But, I reach out to many, many independent and moderate Republicans. And, I'm a little bit hesitant to say moderate Republicans and independents because where we live, there are friends and our neighbors, and we can have some political differences. But as long as our values has remained the same. I can reach out to them. And running a campaign from the middle allows me to do that. I've not painted myself into a corner as just a Democrat kind of deal. I'm reaching out across the aisle to everyone. And so, I kind of take an example out of the recent Summer Olympics that we've watched. And there was a young man who won the 100-meter dash by 5/1000ths of a second. That's a blink, And when I look at his success, he kept his head down and he continued to run. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep my head down, continue to run this campaign, and run through the finish line, and just remain focused on becoming the next congressman here to represent all of the people of the district, not just some of them, but all of them.
Right. Well, Ken, I appreciate you coming in, sharing your insights and your experiences you've done. I'm sure it's really changed your outlook on a lot of things. And we want you to come back at least one more time as we get really close to the election.
I would absolutely enjoy that. And where I started this endeavor and where I'm at right now, I think by listening to the folks in the valley and over in the highlands there, I've got a much broader perspective of the issues and concerns that they have, and my focus will remain on the people of the 6th Congressional District, not out there at the national level, but down here in the 6th Congressional.
Well, I bet you've been places you didn't know existed.
It has been hard work, but I have to tell you, I'm a people person oriented kind of guy, and if you're not interested in the people, this is hard work. But
right.
when you shake hands and you meet people and you hear stories and you know that you can help, it helps motivate and helps lift and inspire.
Well, they say elections are won face to face, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, again, Ken, I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
We will
Mike.
see you again here soon. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you.